Hi guys, I am Miss Lamb. I am an 8th grade algebra teacher. I've also taught 8th grade pre-algebra for a couple years as well as 7th grade. The purpose of this video is for me to kind of give you some information on 8th grade math next year. I'm going to talk a little bit about 8th grade pre-algebra, 8th grade single block, and 8th grade double block algebra. I want to talk about the 8th grade pre-algebra math class first. The number one thing I want you to remember is that this is an on-level 8th grade math class. That is what the majority of 8th graders are taking across the nation. It's all 8th grade objectives. You touched on some of them in 7th grade, but not all of them. And in the 8th grade pre-algebra class, if that's the one you end up taking, you'll still be able to take pre-cal in high school if you're worried about that, which pre-calculus can help a lot with college algebra. Everyone has to take college algebra in college, regardless of what major you do. Even if you're an arts major, you have to do college algebra. It also is going to allow you to develop a lot of deeper understanding of those algebra skills that you'll need to be successful in algebra. And just a little side note, I was a math major, took a lot of math up to Calculus 3, and I didn't take algebra until 9th grade. So just kind of think about that. Just because you're taking 8th grade pre-algebra does not mean you're behind. You're actually where you need to be. Let's talk about algebra and the differences between single block and double block. Double block is what you're used to, 2 periods. So that is what is one of the best. If you scored for double block, it's best that you go into double block. There's a reason that your teacher recommended double block for you or that you scored double block. I asked my students what they thought about double versus single, and here's what they had to say about double block, is that there is more time to be able to ask your teacher questions. In single block, my students can attest that there's almost no time to ask questions. There's only, a couple questions here or there. I'm sure I don't get to all of them. You are able to develop a deeper understanding of algebra because you can go over more examples. I can ask more questions. You can kind of think a little bit more about things. And you're also able to spend more time starting on homework. It doesn't mean that you have less homework or more homework. It just means that you have more time to get started on it. And that's a benefit because your teacher is right there to help you. Whereas with my single block, we maybe sometimes have 10 to 5 minutes to get started. And it doesn't mean that they have more homework because I usually will assign less problems in my single block classes than I do my double block algebra classes. But they only have a few minutes to get started. They're not able to ask me a whole bunch of questions. And when we go over homework the next day, I really can't spend a lot of time in single block on it. We really just, I'll check it for correctness and that's about it. Single block algebra, I want to talk about this because I think that it's a little misunderstood about what is involved and needed to be successful in single block algebra. If you go into single block algebra, it's going to be the first time that you are taking a math class where it's only 1 period. It's going to be a big change and a big adjustment. Some people make that adjustment quicker and easier than others. In order to be successful in single block, it's not about your intelligence and how smart you are. It's how good of a student are you? Are you a student that's going to stay on top of things? Are you a student that if you don't understand what's going on in class, you come in for help? The most students that I have in for tutoring are my single block students because double block, I can usually handle it in class and answer their questions. So if you don't like to come in for tutoring, I wouldn't recommend single block. Again, homework, I've heard often that single block, if there's more homework because you don't have enough time. That's true and not true. You don't have enough time to get started on it, but I also don't assign as many problems. Think about it that way. So when you are making your decision on which class to go into, you have a lot of things to look at. You have the IAAT test that you took. That is a great indicator for where you're placed. There's a reason we take that test every year. You have your, first and foremost, your current math teacher. They know you the best and your math ability and how you're going to do. So if you're not sure about where you want to go, talk to your math teacher. If you scored for double block but you really want to try single block, I asked my single block students and they said that if you scored for double, you should probably go to double. Just kind of think of it that way. If you have any questions for me, you can always come ask me. I would rather answer questions now, then you get into the wrong class next year and you struggle. Because 8th grade math, whether you're in pre-algebra or algebra, you shouldn't have to struggle. If you're struggling, that means you might not be in the best placement. And then we got to think about moving. And then that changes your schedule and it just can be tedious from then on. So let's make the right choice in the beginning. Thank you.